Hello everybody, Jediwarlock here, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today I'm returning to the world of Middle-earth to do a deep dive on another beloved region within Lord of the Rings Online. The poll I posted on my channel earlier this summer got way more responses than I was expecting, which is pretty awesome. And you all really seemed to like my North Downs analysis video. So I've decided to take a look at Bree-land, one of the starting areas in this massive world, and also one of my personal favorites. I'll be examining the story and lore of this area, analyzing the world building and quest design, and also giving a brief summary of the content you can expect to find here, all of which will demonstrate why Bree-land is one of the greatest LotRO regions ever created. So, with all that being said, let's get right into it and explore the world of Middle-earth. The region of Bree-land is widely regarded as a land of peace, filled with forests, villages, and rolling green fields. But this sentiment was not always so, as political dissent and faction conflict once affected these plains and meadows. Bree-land was once a part of the North Kingdom of Arnor, established by the Númenórean people from the sea. Arnor was eventually dismantled into 3 separate kingdoms after both internal and external pressures caused the kingdom to fracture. Cardolan, Rhudaur, and Arthedain, which encompassed Bree-land, were themselves destroyed long ago by the servants of Sauron, and now ruins of these ancient realms dot the landscape of the north, among the more contemporary wood houses of men. The mysterious rangers of the north, the only remnants of Arnor's lineage, protect Bree-land from a distance, and most of the simple folk who call this region home remain unaware of the threats that gather beyond. But lately, this peaceful dynamic has been shifting. An increasing presence of outlaws and brigands, a darkening of the forests, and even rumors of orcs and goblins have put pressure on the limited number of rangers here. As a new player starting out in the world of LotRO, and as a human especially, it falls to you to aid the rangers, their allies, and the everyday folk of Bree-land against these new threats. It's hard to envision a better jumping off point to begin your journey than this. The world is changing, and your character is on the brink of it, ready to offer assistance and join forces with some of the most influential characters in the Lord of the Rings story. From investigating the presence of ominous black riders in the area, to dealing with a ranger who has fallen under a mysterious curse, to helping the farmers and merchants of Bree as they deal with outlaws and other threats, the region's story is, in my opinion, a perfect introduction to the world of LotRO and where your character fits into the broader narrative. You're not a mighty hero who's been dropped into this place. In most situations here, you're uncovering the mystery and learning about the state of the world with the other characters, through quest text and dialogue, as well as just venturing around the area. Overall, the story and lore of Bree-land, including the epic storyline, is detailed and fits the introductory experience to the game really well. While humans and hobbits spend the most time here, dwarves, elves, and the other races of Middle-earth also end up traveling through Bree-land on their journeys and have the chance to immerse themselves in this robust starting region. As I've said multiple times in my other LotRO videos, the world of Middle-earth is one of my favorite aspects of the game, and Bree-land is one of my all-time favorite regions because of it. The diversity of the areas in this zone, the way the quests guide players between them, and the prevalence of iconic places all contribute to Bree-land being one of the most memorable regions in the game. Players begin their questing in the secluded Archet Dale, comprised of the small town of Archet and the surrounding woods. This in itself is a perfect microcosm that captures what an MMO region is based around. Usually a town or economic center of a questing area, surrounded by smaller points of interest, smaller outposts of allies or enemies, and landscape features. The quests teach players how to navigate, fight, and progress through the world, and along with the tutorial window, give new players a strong footing on how this whole MMO thing really works. Also, the sleeping bag quest is pretty cool from a story perspective. I don't have time to go in depth on that today, but if you know, you know. After finishing all the quests in this small, instanced section of the map, players are, through a mix of clever narrative and game design choices, finally allowed to pass out of the Dale and enter the wider game world. Starting with the town of Combe, residing on the border of the vast Chetwood. Here, the themes of the introductory area are iterated upon to start incorporating the broader strokes of the story I outlined earlier, from the increasing bandit presence to uncovering their shadowy overseers. This area serves as an addendum to the introduction, removing the training wheels and allowing your character to travel greater distances to complete quests with a level of independence greater than that seen in the starting zone. This area also serves as a stepping stone on your way to the next area and the major quest hub of the zone. The town of Bree itself is the de facto capital of the region and hosts a wide variety of crafting and player services, along with plenty of quests to complete. The Prancing Pony Inn is faithfully recreated here, and the player interacts with several high-profile characters in the story here that further reinforces the sidebar style of storytelling that I've mentioned before. While you're not the main character of the overall Lord of the Rings story, as you might know it, your journey within the game intersects with the major characters in ways that show off the other aspects of the world and conflicts that are not mentioned in the books or the movies. Bree is essentially the gateway to both the southeast and west of the zone, guiding your player first to the nearby Midgewater marshes and exploring the goblin threat there before bringing you back and offering a strong follow-up by turning your character loose on the Bree Fields west of town. The plains and fields here are one of the largest collections of flatland in the game, which, whether intentionally or not, is truly the perfect place to introduce mounted travel to the player. For those players who are not yet at a point where they're able to purchase their own mount, they first learn the importance of visiting stable masters and purchasing rides between various locations on the map. The quests organically guide your player from Bree toward the western edge of Bree-land, where the hobbits of Crickhollow dwell. This is the first time human players really have a chance to interact with another culture in the game, and I'm really glad the developers decided to include this area as part of Bree-land and not separate it level-wise into the Shire. The Old Forest to the east of Crickhollow is one of my favorite subzones in Bree-land because, 1, it's green, and 2, it naturally teaches players a thing or two about the world. This area is utterly uncivilized, with only the small cottage of Tom Bombadil to offer players a sense of security. No real roads pass through here, forcing players to adapt to the environment and deal with foes as they make their way from one quest objective to the next. The dense trees and occasional sharp drop into a tranquil stream below also introduce the concept of environmental challenge into the game. Sometimes you can't go in a straight line to your destination and have to brave the wilds to find your way. I love the Old Forest area, but I also really like how it transitions into the nearby Barrow Downs, the first truly evil area human players have seen up until this point. Fog blankets the damp hills and ancient tombs, and the dead wander about, attacking the living on sight. Allies to be found in this subzone are few and far between, but what really sells me on this part of Bree-land is how it explores the concept of the instanced tombs. Several of the marked crypts in the Barrow Downs have unique enemies and mini-bosses inside that are part of quest objectives, but others have no real purpose besides reputation and loot grinding. In the Barrow Downs, it is almost a certainty you'll see a duo or trio of players raiding these tombs for one reason or another, and I really appreciate how these different mini-instances seem built for team collaboration and for players to learn how fellowships work within LotRO. I believe this is by design, as very soon after, players are tempted into conquering the Great Barrow, the first fellowship instance in the game consisting of 3 wings and several well-designed, if simple, boss encounters. Following players' excursions into the Barrow Downs, the remainder of Bree-land continues to push the boundaries of what players know and expect when they're starting out in this game. By level 20, most players will have purchased their very first horse in the northern Bree fields, a useful companion who will join them on all their adventures going forward. What are those adventures? Well, Bree-land is great for another reason, in that it gives players options on where they go next. The far northeast of the region is very remote, yet picturesque, and adventurers may find the occasional campsite or long-forgotten ruin on their travels. For those craving more of the epic storyline, the Lone Lands to the east offer the continuation of the Shadows of Angmar quests, though players will soon return on their way to the North Downs, if they didn't already decide to go there outright. Finally, I wanted to touch on the Wildwood subzone that was added to the game more recently. This area doesn't really connect with the rest of the Bree epic storyline, but it does add a level of depth to the world and makes the game feel more alive by giving players a new threat to address later on in their LotRO career. Plus, the screenshots and views you can get up here are pretty awesome. The Bree-land quest progression and area design are well thought out, logical, and effectively teach players a lot about the game just from the way the areas are designed and ordered, as well as how the quests teach players important lessons that will apply to their future experiences within the game. Good news for LotRO players. Bree-land is a free content area, meaning anybody who is starting out in the game can access pretty much everything I've just talked about for free. The one exception to this is the Wildwood area that was introduced in Update 29. As of now, the LotRO Wiki has the quest pack listed for 1,195 LotRO points, or about 15 USD. I personally have not purchased the Wildwood, but I did explore the area when it was first released, and I will say it is beautiful, so it might be worth investing in if you want to spend some more time here in the future. The wider Bree-land region, though, has no cost, so feel free to hop in and explore at your leisure. We've covered a lot of ground here today, both literally and figuratively, and I hope I've demonstrated some of my main points as to why Bree-land is an awesome LotRO zone and is one of my favorites to this day. The quests, the story, and how your character interacts with the game world progresses over time in a satisfying build-up that culminates with your character taking on an instance with new friends, traveling out into more distant reaches of the world, and maybe even purchasing your very own mount. Nostalgia aside, I think this region operates very effectively from an objective standpoint, and I believe it deserves recognition as one of the best designed content areas in Lord of the Rings Online. In Bree-land or elsewhere, I look forward to seeing you all in Middle-earth. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring the intricacies of Bree-land today. And if you did, make sure to like the video, comment down below with your thoughts on this region, subscribe if you're new to join the Jedi Order, and until next time, peace.